Hi there, I'm going to try to make a little painting using oil pastels. Kind of a East Coast scene, I suppose. This is a canvas, boxed canvas. And I'm just melting the pastels with a candle as well as mixing it in with some oil paint as I go along. I don't know if it's a technique. It's my technique. I doubt it's an art technique. At least none I've ever heard of. But I'm not an art student, so they may well teach you how to do this for real somewhere. I just like the way it feels and the way it looks when I mix it together like this. And it goes on nice and thick with a texture that is quite nice. I tend to be really thrifty with my paint, so any technique that makes me spend more paint is a good one for my, I guess, development as a painter. Is this really painting? Well, it's more like coloring when you're a kid. Nevertheless, the effect is, I think, pretty good. And maybe the truth is, you know, if you can color, you can paint. At least that's how I'm going to look at it for now. Just put some happy little clouds in here instead of happy little trees like my mentor Bob Ross would have said. It's really what I like about Impressionism is you could spend hours upon hours trying to make something look real as a realist. People spend, you know, hundreds of hours on a single painting. That's not so much for me. No. Mine have to work within an hour. And for better or worse, I guess, in that regard, but so it was a beautiful sunny day at the beach today. It's November, what is it, November 8th or something? I don't even know. Anyway, Yeah, so we had the snowstorm the other day and we had plus 20 degrees today. So, you know, go figure. That time of year, I guess. So there we have a basic little skyline, and my thumbs and fingers are full of paint. I'll wipe that off a bit. And now, get into a little coastline. Not really coast, more like I guess you would say the hills. Do some hills. Trying to approximate what I'm seeing in front of me from this. Oh, I just busted my pastel there. So yeah, one should try to make a general outline of what you're going to paint so that there's not too many surprises. When you're in the middle of it. Don't think I've mastered this particular technique just yet. But I think one day it'll pay off. And I suppose that's why I keep trying to discover better ways to paint. Not necessarily better ways, just more to my liking. I'm probably breaking a lot of taboos for how you work with oils and how you work with oil pastels. But I guess the long and short of that conversation is, who cares? So long as you're having fun. Someday I want to do a what do you call it? A show and display most of my paintings that I haven't sold or given away, and there's quite a few now. I mean, probably 100. If I went around and collected them all from home and work and here at the studio and cottage where I make most of them. I do paint at home from time to time, but mostly just with acrylics, and because it's not as messy. It's not as messy as oil. And setup and cleanup isn't quite as demanding either with acrylics. Anyhow, I just dropped some paint on the carpet. Something you should try not to do. Sometimes the more you play with something, the better it gets, and sometimes it just doesn't look right after you mess with it. Nevertheless. Okay. I've got a lake in the foreground here, well, mid-ground, and maybe we're just going to give it some color that isn't quite true to life, but we like it. Because why not? That's pretty teal. Maybe we'll mix some blue in there. Mix it together. If you watch YouTube videos on the masters of painting, what you'll often see is it doesn't make sense. It does not make sense what some of the great painters did as far as either their methods or their colors, their color combinations. you know, sometimes they got away with mixing really garish colors, unnatural looking, not so attractive colors together, and voila, they've got a famous painting. So I suppose maybe you can get away with that if your name is Monet or Manet or Van Gogh. Put a touch of this color up in the sky here. Another lesson kind of coming off of the out of the masters is you kind of can get away with certain colors if you mix a bit of it elsewhere in your painting. Just helps you get away with it. I mean, I think I've developed a pretty good eye for color, but that's by many bad experiments. Or good experiments that went wrong, I don't know. And just sometimes you get away with it, and sometimes you don't. So in the foreground here we have a lot of cool bushes and hills. So just going to get them blocked in here. Nice dark green. Got a little hill here. More of the hills in the background. I think this is more of a fall scene where there's still green out there, but there's also other colors from the fading plants. Now I've just started trying to work with pastels. Generally speaking, I've been an oil painter or a acrylics guy. So this is my best guess of how to do this. It's not a tutorial because I don't know how to do it. So for example, right now I'm just mixing some oil in with the pastel stick so that it blends a little better in the front here. Are you supposed to do that? Probably not. But in my estimation, it's whatever works. I'm not sure I agree with Alanis Morissette when she says, if it makes you happy, it can't be that bad. But in painting anyway, it's sort of true. In life, it might be a little more dicey to live by that rule. So, what am I going to do now? Well, let's throw some of this nice reddish brown. Now I'm singing that song in my head. Well, one thing I have yet learned to need to learn is how easily pastels break. right in the middle of doing something, they will break. And that, I assume, is my fault. I don't know how to use them just yet. Well, if you're not bored, stick around. You might get bored. However, you might also see something just amazing. So, you know, don't go away. Kind of these purple flowers popping up at the edge of the painting here, which are kind of cool. And there's some more in the middle. I'm kind of inspired to do this today because I saw the photos of a friend named Jonathan Lewis, and he was just up in Newfoundland, and they went camping in November. Well, they have a camper, but it's just a little tow behind one. It was a really cool looking thing. So I assume they just sleep in it at night, and the rest of the time they're basically outdoors. And there's snow on the ground in some of the photos. And not only that, he went swimming in the ocean first thing in the morning. So that was quite the video. If you ever get a chance to go to his Facebook page and watch it, it's hilarious. But also pretty cool. So these are sort of the colors that are out in not only Newfoundland but Nova Scotia here at this time of year. So a little tribute to this province and the amazing scenery on display most of the year. There are some ugly months here. During the winter, but even in the winter, if you get a nice sunny day, you'll find it's very beautiful at the coast. Go out and catch a storm with the huge waves crashing, and you'll see what I mean. Adding some black to give it a little more contrast, because that's what the scene requires. Indicate some shrubbery, and we can always go and put in the highlights afterward. Anyhow, if you've decided that I'm just making this up as I go along, you are, I think, correct. I'm trying to give an impression of this scene without getting too bogged down into really all the details, all the nitty-gritty details of it, because, well, that would just take talent. I'm just kidding about that. Before you get online and scold me that I shouldn't say I have no talent. I have some talent, but I'm not saying it's a great talent. I'm just saying it's some talent. Now, okay, so having got about this far, I'm going to fill in some of the blanks here with actual paintbrush. Dun, 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 dun. Sometimes a bit of blending goes a long way. I'm not trying to get too carried away. Where did my purple go? Need more purple. Said every schoolgirl ever. Was that a sexist joke? If so, I'm in trouble. I apologize. But I'm not a schoolgirl, so I'm saying purple is a good thing. Purple is for boys too. I love purple. Have I made up for it yet, or am I making it worse? Right? Right? Not nearly so clever as I think. Well, there may be more to do on this. Certainly there will be more to do on it. Just judging by some of the problems I see. However, maybe I'm done for now.